What's going on, guys? It's Kage, and today I'm doing my premium Link Joker Messiah deck profile that I gave a hint that I was going to do after my premium gears. Now, this deck is mainly built from two trial decks, which is the Messiah Dragon of Rebirth deck, which came with some good stuff, and at least from my opinion, and this deck is more meant for like fun, like casual. Maybe you could take it to locals, but I mean it's not going to hold up very well. So, but I mainly use this more as a like a teaching kind of deck. But I mainly use Gear Chronicle, or I started playing Standard, so I'm more using my standard deck, but this is still fun to use. Anyway, so let's get on to the deck profile. So this is built from using cards from the deck, from the trial decks. Very little cards that I add that's not in, and only 5, which I'll go to as we go along. So our starting Vanguard is Neon Messiah Arion, which his skill is obviously Forerunner, and then when he's unlocked due to a unit's effect, you can add him to the soul, put 5k on a rear guard, and then he also lets you draw a card. So, I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world, but I mean, it's pretty good for what it is. Alright, moving on to the triggers, which at this point should be pretty standard, which is the 8 crit. Now these 4 right here are the standard triggers. So they give 10k and the 15k shield, which is really nice. And these were only, I think, like $1.50 to $1 a piece. Not really that expensive, so 4 draw, obviously. No, they're not the draw PGs, I wish. I just don't got, college sucks. So, yeah. And her skill is, when placed on rear guard, you can add this to the soul, which honestly is really good because this deck uses a lot of soul blasting, and it's really, trust me, it's useful. And then 4 heals. Your basic tech, basic trigger lineup, nothing, to write home, nothing too crazy. Anyway, moving on to the grade 1s, which, starting off, I run 3 Dunanimous Messiah. That's probably not how you pronounce it, but English is hard. Anyway, his skill is GB1, which, when you have 1 or more face-up cards in the G zone, Soul Blast 1, at the end of the turn that this unit boosted, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 1 locked card, unlock it, then lock this unit, choose 1 of your units, and it gains 4,000 power to the end of the turn. This isn't really too crazy. I mean, it's not exactly a skill you'll use often, but it can come in handy for that little bit of extra power if you don't exactly, if you need it. I kind of don't like using it. Next is my 4 PGs, just typical PG. I don't really know what else to say. 4 copies of Destiny Dealer. So I was originally thinking about running him at 3 and running a 4th Alter Ego Messiah, but here's the thing. Destiny Dealer is a combination stride fodder, so basically he's worth a grade 3 if you use him to stride from the hand. And his skill is, he has a rear guard circle skill where when he's called, you can reveal a grade 3 from the hand, show it to your opponent, get a grade 3. Which is good if I have like Alter Ego Messiah and I want to get Alter Ego Neo, which is better in my opinion. So for Destiny Dealer. Next is 4 multiple star of cluster multiples. I'm just gonna put that there and read it off cam. Multiple star of binding cluster mine, and her skill is again 1 or more cards face up in the G zone. Counterblast 1. When an attack hits a vanguard during that battle that this unit boosted, you may pay the cost. If you do, all fighters choose one of their rear guards and lock it. So this could be good for a combo where if you already attacked with a rear guard, you use her to attack and hope and pray that your opponent doesn't guard. And then especially if you're using this like a G unit, but then what you can do is you can lock her, unlock your unit, your rear guard that attacked, and then you're able to get another attack, which, you know, it's useful, but I don't really like using too many on-hit skills because they're pretty hard to get off, especially late game. By the time you have like strides, you're going to have like probably perfect guards, and it's not exactly the best situation to be in. Alright, so moving on to the grade 2s. I am currently running, starting off with the grade 2s, 3 Metallia Messiah. With Metallia's skill is, this card cannot be locked by effect, so this guy cannot be locked at all, which I might replace him for Great Wolf, but he's also a good ride target if I don't know. But his Generation Break 1 skill is, when another card is locked or unlocked during, this unit gets 3,000. So if I lock and unlock 6 times, he's going to get a crap ton of power. Next is 4 copies of Arrestor Messiah. And Arrestor skill is GB1. When this unit is placed on rear guard, if you have a grade 3 or greater vanguard with Messiah in its card name, this unit gets plus 2k. And auto rear guard, lock this unit at the end of the battle that this unit attacked the vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 rear guard in any fighter's back row and lock it. So I guess he could be good for if you're like, if you don't want something boosted, but that skill is meh. It's situational at best. And next up is 4 copies of Albedo Condor, just your generic vanilla 10k beater, nothing too crazy. Next is, now moving on to the grade 3s, I run 3 copies of Alter Ego Messiah. And I want to read the non-holo. Alter Ego's skill is Vanguard Circle, Counterblast 1, choose 1 rear guard, choose 1 of your rear guards and lock it. When your G unit strides during your turn, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, lock it. Choose one of your vanguard. Choose one of your vanguards, and it gains 5k to the end of the turn. And then his auto Vanguard GB2 skill is Counterblast or Soul Blast 1. When this locked card is unlocked, when a locked card is unlocked, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card. So this is more if I don't have like stride fodder, I'll use him to stride. This isn't exactly a good ride target. I mean, you don't really want to ride him because, I mean, he's good, but compared to Alter Ego Neo Messiah, he's a lot. This guy isn't as good. And finally, the last four is Alter Ego Neo Messiah. And his skill, basically, I can summarize it, but I'm still going to read it anyway. His skills are, well, first his stride skill is basic. Well, I'll just summarize it. His stride skill is when you stride on him, you can counterblast one, call a card from your hand to rear guard, and then you and your opponent lock a unit. And then his GB2 skill is when a card is unlocked due to an effect of a unit that turn, Soul Blast 2, or is it Soul Blast? It's Soul Blast 1 or 2, hold on. Soul Blast 1, and then you can draw 2 cards. So he's really good for getting cards in your hand, and the superior version of Alter Ego Messiah, if you ask me personally. So, now moving on to the G-Zone, which isn't really anything too crazy. It's basically the 4 strides, the 4 G-Guards, which is, but I also have an additional one. So the first one I have here is Genesis Dragon Bearing Messiah. And his skill is, just going over the stride, blah, 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 gets, the card's name, power, whatever. So, his auto Vanguard Circle is Counterblast 1. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a rear guard in any fighter's back row, lock it. Choose one lock card and unlock it. So, a combo I'll do is normally, by this point, my opponent will have, back row. So I'll have him. So, here. This will just be an example. So I'll have something like this. And then I'll have Orion behind him. So I'll stride, counterblast, lock. Well, obviously after I call. And then when he attacks, he said he doesn't even need hitches when you attack a Vanguard, counterblast. I'll lock another opponent's rear guard, unlock Orion, send him to the soul, and then bam. So yeah. It's not really anything too crazy, but I mean, it works for what it is. The stride that I don't go into as often, but it can be useful, is Genesis Dragon Judgment Messiah, which came in the original Faithful Star Messiah trial deck, I think of the name. Anyway, his skill is when this unit hits a Vanguard, choose a rear guard in your opponent's back row, lock it, choose out the one lock card, and unlock it. So, again, it's one of those on-hit things that aren't really as good late game. Early game, it's alright, but late game, it's not as good. And the last cards in the G-Zone are the 4 G-Guards that I got, which is Lake That Seals to Tear, Lady Healer. So her skill, well, obviously you gotta, discard a heal trigger to use her, but it's Soul Blast 1. And then if you have a card, if your Vanguard has Messiah, it's either the race or the name. If there's a lock card, you may pay the cost. If you do, this gets 5k. If your Vanguard is a Messiah, so the race Messiah, it also gains another 5k. So if your opponent has a lot of cards, it'll still go off. And since all my grade 3s are Messiah race, that's a definite going off. So she's at least going to have a 20k shield. But that's about it. It's not really a crazy deck. I mean, it can hold its own in like G era matches, but this deck I honestly use for more fun. But if somebody's looking to build the Messiahs from there, it's a good build. You know, I like it. I tested it against a couple people, and it works for what it is. Obviously, you would need a lot of cards to upgrade it, from the old sets, even the standard stuff, getting the new alter ego, getting harmonics, blah blah blah. So that's about it. And yeah, so until next time.